All right.
Welcome,
It's
everyone.
like that one rule they told us in high school. Don't take student. No, there's one thing they haven't
Please
told.
mute if you can. Put yourselves on mute as we get started. Dr. Gerton Snyder, you can begin.
Okay, thank you, Jana. Well, welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us today at our Proxy Gallery event. As the Vice President of the Online College, I'm delighted to see so many of you here participating in what is just one of many conversations we hope to have and plan to offer for our students, faculty, and staff throughout the year. We want this to be a meaningful, what we call, thanks to Michelle Castro, a mental break. We all need a mental break during the semester. And these events are designed to connect you with artists, thinkers, and innovators across the United States and around the world, enriching your educational journey with new perspectives and creative inspiration. So today we're honored to have Jana Weiss, our student life coordinator, leading the conversation with two remarkable artists, Annetta Capone and Shishi Edelsbrunner. Annetta is a Greek-born American artist and educator whose work in sculpture, installation, and video art has been exhibited internationally and known for her playful yet incisive exploration of power and subtle explanations about everyday life. Her art invites us to consider the familiar, often blending humor with deeper social commentary. And then Shishi, who is displaying her work in the Proxy Gallery here in Houston on the 9th floor of the 3100 building for the online college, is also practicing her art by spanning across diverse media and also bringing a unique voice and commentary about art dialogues. And we are eager to hear her insights along with Annetta's. Under Jana's guidance today, the discussion will explore the artist's creative processes and themes that will drive their work and the ways in which art can serve as a proxy for our personal and collective transformation. We hope this session not only offers you a refreshing pause, but it also sparks curiosity and dialogue that will continue beyond today. And thank you again for being here. So please join me in welcoming Annetta and Shishi. Gianna, I'm going to hand it over to you to start the conversation.
Thank you, Dr. Gerton Snyder, and thank you for having me. Today, we're going to talk a little bit to both of them. If you would like to ask any questions, please use the Q&A, or you can raise your hand and we'll recognize you and you will be able to unmute and ask any questions. I realize there's a class attending, so if any of your students or you have any questions, just let us know and we will get them all answered. Excuse me. So we're going to start with Annetta first. Annetta, what inspired you to open the Proxy Gallery, and what exactly is the Proxy Gallery?
Okay, thank you, Jana. First of all, I always wanted to have a long-term project. So Proxy is now in its 12th year, and I've had about 95 exhibitions so far. I did it because I wanted to occupy both sides of the debate, be an artist, but also be a gallery. Because I have always thought that the relationship between an artist and a gallery is problematic. The artist is often in a supplicant position in relation to the gallery. And so I wanted to take that position of power, so to speak. And so instead of asking somebody to give me a show, I give them a show. And so the main function of the gallery is to create discourse and to continue discourse. So this is what I do by writing press releases and, taking the gallery to different places. Houston is the fourth city, Proxy has done shows in Los Angeles, in Athens, Greece, in Paris, France, and now in Houston, Texas. I have much more to say, but maybe you have a specific question.
How do you select the artists?
It's mixed. Some of them apply, some of them I know and I select. Some of them are recommended by other people. And it's good that you asked this because Dr. Gerton Snyder and I have been talking about opening up the application to a student or alum from Houston Community College to have a show next year in 2026. And Dr. Snyder will announce the rules when the time comes. Most artists have a one-person show, but I have had as many as 4 people in the gallery. The gallery, as you can see, is small, but I do not foreground this fact. It's a real gallery. It's not a miniature. I'm not looking for tiny work or anything like that.
Okay, so as long as it fits, it doesn't have to actually fit in that gallery.
No, I have had artists have wrapped things around the gallery or have put things near or above, or in some cases have left it completely empty. So my bias is conceptual, and I am attracted to work that somehow takes account of the gallery space.
Right. So, Shishi, tell us a little bit what your artistic journey has been. And what has it been like? How did you evolve to where you are now?
I guess I'll say, since I'm talking to some undergrads here, that I was sort of I studied mathematics in college, and I sort of mm, was deciding, I guess, in my 20s on a path, and also working. Um, but I sort of was drawn to both the fine arts and mathematics, which actually conceptually have some things in common. Um, but I mean, I was keeping up, a sporadic practice, and eventually just kind of decided to do an MFA at Otis College, where Annetta was the director, and actually we didn't overlap, but she interviewed me. But like I came the year after Annetta left, and that's really where I developed my current practice. So pretty traditional, school helped me shape things a lot, and um, where I am like conceptually and materially today is a lot because of that program.
Right. I found your artwork very unique. Could you talk to me a little bit about where you draw your inspiration from and how you came about that inspiration?
Oh yeah, sure. So actually, where I came about the inspiration was really, it started in doctor's offices. Um, I guess it's a little bit on a personal note, but I was really, really sick in when I started grad school. And I went to the doctor like every week, and I would be in these waiting rooms just like looking at all the stuff, like the linoleum floor and they have some really interesting objects in there, like these weird smooth like holders for the gloves and all that stuff. So I just had a lot of time looking at objects that had an intense neutrality about them and sort of a sense of alienation. Um, and that kind of, coalesced with the conceptual things that I was thinking about in school. I started taking photos, um, and later moved on to sculpture. But the inspiration really it starts with looking at things, and particularly these things that are meant to be neutral or unnoticed, that have really peculiar attributes. So like, the sculptures that are in the Proxy gallery, that's really what I'm drawing upon, is these particular details and facets of plastic objects that are highly designed, like highly specific, but are sort of designed as to as to pretend to not be designed. That's the kind of thing I'm interested in. And yeah, with any of my pieces, I usually am sort of like, I have some found object, or I have some attribute of objects that I become really interested in, and I sort of um, start working with that, or mimicking that thing.
And if I may add, Shishi, your work invites us to look at objects that, as you say, otherwise are meant to not be looked at.
Hmm.
That and so now we suddenly say, well, this is art. So why, or what is it, or did it used to have a function, and now it doesn't. So at the same time, I think it aestheticizes, but also emphasizes the everyday object that we normally don't look at. And as you say, it is meant to be neutral. It is meant
Hmm.
uh, to not attract attention to itself. And then this does. I should add that I came. I got to know Shishi's work because I went to their MFA show. And so this is the second exhibition that they're having in the Proxy Gallery. And I actually look forward to more.
Oh, thank you.
You
And
never
for me,
know who is incognito looking at your MFA show,
Oh yeah.
because
Yeah.
I'm
True.
not famous. So when I go to MFA exhibitions, nobody knows I'm really a gallery in disguise.
Yeah.
so as a professor and as an artist, you mentioned, Sushi, that you started out in photography, and then here you are in this whole other area. Do you recommend to artists to explore other areas, other dimensions, types of art?
Are
I
you
think
talking to
so.
me or
Oh,
to Shishi? Sorry.
oh yeah. Was that
Hmm.
me? Well, I'll just go on anyways. Yeah, I definitely do. I mean, um, I think that it, it's easy to think of art as paintings, or drawings that are there are like certain media that are, I guess, more represented. And and the thing that I really appreciate about this um, realm, I guess, is that you can really do anything. You could do research and just write and say that's art, and you can make things that I don't know, look look kind of like nothing, or look like just I don't know. I was thinking of you know a story in the last question, that my friend visited the photography studio at Otis, and they were like doing work on a printer, and there was like a piece of a printer sitting there, and my friend thought it was one of my pieces and was like, I was one of Shishi's new sculpture. um that felt like a win somehow to me, so that's where I am. But yeah, I mean, exploring, I definitely encourage people to do that. I mean, I started making these sculptures because I was pouring polyurethane resin into plastic packaging, like the disposable packaging that comes with
Mhm.
objects. um you know that wouldn't have come about if I wasn't kind of messing around.
Yeah. So Annetta, when you started this Proxy gallery, did you get a lot of criticism because it's not your traditional gallery where you go to a huge gallery opening and stuff? Did you have to really, talk to people about why this is such an important gallery and type of showing?
I, I did not get any criticism because in art there is already a tradition. I'm not the first one. Marcel Duchamp did a museum in a suitcase 100 years ago. So I think in 1918, actually. So, people, but you're right to ask this question because this question of being discovered in air quotes, by a gallery is a big myth in the art world, that um, everybody who goes to school hopes to get a job and get a show after, and it is becoming increasingly difficult. So I wanted to intervene in that, but I was also influenced by my own teaching. I was always telling my students, don't wait to be discovered. Take your life and your work into your own hands and show it. So, there are, whoops, I just lost you. Oh, there you are. Yeah,
No,
you're
I'm showing
showing
your
the,
gallery.
okay, yeah. So I always said, take things into your own hands and show your work. People have been renting, for example, a motel room and doing an exhibition for 3 days, or they do a show in a closed shop, or they do a show in their closet, or whatever. And so that is beginning to be accepted as an art practice that is not necessarily inferior to having an exhibition in a big gallery. Is that clear what I'm saying? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And so it is that. It is uh, and the other thing is that I myself take it very seriously and I present it as a real gallery. In other words, it may have a sense of humor, but it is not a joke. It's real. It's a gallery. The Shishi's exhibition is a one-person show. It has a press release. It has an opening reception, and I have received reviews in the newspapers. I have, emerging and very well established artists. So for me, it is, and I think for the artists as well, it's a conceptual framework that allows me to talk about exhibitions and to talk about the art in a space, not just in the abstract. Do you see what I mean? Is this clear what I'm saying? Yeah, so it's like the gallery is like a brain. It's almost the shape of a head, and in there are ideas, and the gallery allows these ideas to be discussed. It's like a platform from which one can speak. And so from my point of view, it's a little bit, I don't know if this is like too much art speak, but it's a kind of institutional critique. I am presenting work, but I'm also critical of the way work is presented. I invite the viewer to consider, what does it mean when you say gallery? What does it mean when you say, I'm having a show in Houston. Does it matter how many square feet is the gallery? I say no, but in the conventional art world, yes. It's different to show in a museum and it's different to show in a small box.
That's wonderful. I really like that. And so we do have a question, for everybody. For those of you who have tuned in, and after Shishi described their artwork and where they get their inspiration, what are your reactions to Shishi's type of work? And I'd love to hear thoughts, or you can type it in the chat or unmute about their work and how amazing it is and where they get their ideas. Ooh. And we have another question. I'm interested in art accessibility. Would you ever consider expanding this gallery, perhaps a larger gallery with the same shape, maybe 10 by 10 by 10, in a public space like a library or government building?
Is this a question for me?
Yes.
No, I'm not trying to expand the gallery, but I'm expanding the discourse. So, for example, showing this gallery in Houston, showing it in Paris, showing it in Athens allows me an international presence. And maybe I should also talk about the practical aspects. This gallery costs me very little money. I do pay for the website, but I don't pay rent, and I don't have employees, and I don't make a profit. Sometimes the work is sold, but the buyer is connected directly with the artist, and I don't take a cut. So that is something that has allowed me to continue for 12 years and will continue more. So yes, I do want to expand, but not in terms of the size. Now, once a year, I take part in a fair, an art fair, and that is also a bigger platform. It's called Trist, and it's an art fair of artists' galleries. So then the Proxy gallery is placed in a bigger room, and people come and see it, and there's about 100 galleries that participate. This year it's happening in July in Torrance, Los Angeles, or in Southern California. So yes, I am interested in expanding. The size will probably stay the same.
I think I saw Jamie had a question, her hand raised.
Yes.
If you want to unmute.
Yes, sorry. I was in response to what Michelle had posted about us with our thoughts on this particular piece. So, but I don't want to be the only one.
No, go ahead. You're
time.
welcome.
Yes.
Okay.
It's a dialogue. Feel free.
Well, the question posed was, what are reactions? And I kept thinking about what it reminded me of. And I'm just keep thinking about this gallery that was I went to St. Edward's University in Austin for my bachelor's, and I was friends with a lot of the art students. So I got to go to all those amazing exhibitions that they had. And as part of our coursework for another class, for a creative writing class, we were tasked with going to an exhibition and, gaining inspiration from one of the pieces. And the one that I chose was the most simple, and it was just a cassette tape. It wasn't just a cassette tape. I shouldn't say that, because to an artist, it was more. That wasn't the point of it. But to me, that's what I saw. And so just like I believe she had said, was like bringing attention to something that we normally just take for granted, or that's used for something else, and kind of seeing the beauty in it and seeing it in a different way. So yeah, good job.
Thank you, Jimmy.
So you talked a little bit about how the artwork is sometimes for sale. Well, as a artist, how do you price stuff? I mean, of course, everybody wants to think their artwork's worth $1 million. How do you price your artwork for sale as a new artist, and then further along in your career? What do you tell up and coming artists about pricing, or if they're having their artwork hung in like a restaurant or something for sale, or they're doing one of those, they always have artist walks on Friday nights and stuff like that, or you're in a Proxy gallery. How do you price your artwork?
Are you asking me or Gigi?
Both of you, because I think you can give different perspectives.
I would say, I'm much older and I still don't have an answer to this question. You don't learn it in school. Usually we ask each other, you ask a peer, what would I sell this for? And one of the things that I used to teach is never lower the price of your work, because then it looks like compromise. So if you're selling for 1,000, don't go to 500. It's better to start low and then raise slowly. But for sure, if the price is very low or very high, it becomes part of the meaning of the work. If Gigi prices their work at $20,000, it may not sell, but that is a meaning too. It means something when I read the price. And so it depends on, it depends on many things. I would say we begin to have a past. Like if the last thing I sold was $10,000, I cannot suddenly go to $100,000. But it's all, there is no rule, in traditional galleries usually take 50% of that price. And in many cases, it's worth it, because they supply the space and the connections and so forth. I don't, because I don't want to. It's part of my philosophy. Things have sold, but not through me. Gigi, your response?
Yeah, no, I mean, I have a similar impression, although yeah, I'm a lot less experienced, so I mean, it is kind of fumbling for me, at least. I'm like kind of guessing. I will say the advice that I have seen and that I got as an undergrad was for like wall works, like paintings and drawings. The painter who told me this was said that basically you can do a formula based on the size, and then you multiply it by a number that is basically arbitrary based on your level of like fame or experience or like leverage. But yeah, I mean, I look at other artists' prices who are in a similar, who've been around for a similar amount of time to me and like shown in similar places, and kind of see like if they have prices accessible, what they sell things for.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody else have any questions? I feel like I'm asking all the questions and leading the discussion, or is there something? Yes, Stanley.
Hi, everyone.
Hi,
Shishi,
Stanley.
hi there. Could you Shishi, could you please tell us about the formal elements and the principles of design that you employed in this work in the Proxy Gallery?
Hmm. Let's see. I'm not sure if I can speak to principles of design, if that is like a particular term, but like in terms of formal elements, I am borrowing from those things I mentioned, like these like plastic mass-produced things that are meant to be unnoticed. So I'm using a lot of smoothness, like a really high shine. I use a lot of my work, a reflectiveness, and these pieces more of like that hard plastic smoothness, and also like the not just like the smoothness of the finish, but also the smoothness of the transition between, I guess I would say, like um shapes in within the sculpture. So you can see on some of um the pieces from the same series that are on this page, that, like, for example, this lower right one, there's no really sharp edges, and I think that that's a particular um aspect of mass-produced plastic, like designing or engineering, that shows up a lot of times, that you'll have like these basic shapes like rectangles and etc. But the transition between them, it always has this kind of smooth edge. Another formal element that, oh, excuse me, someone's calling me, um, is the neutral color in a lot of these works. So the ones in the Proxy Gallery are all this off-white, um, which sort of nods towards this neutral environment and sometimes blends into the neutral environment. So that's also kind of playing with the neutrality of the gallery setting itself, which I think, is meant to be unnoticed so that people can really focus on the work. But with this series, or with my work in general, um, I like it to speak to the environment and to bring out the sort of like um, the qualities of that seemingly neutral environment.
And I think, Shishi, you're also um, playing with the idea of the ready-made. In other words, calling
Hmm.
attention to things that are designed by somebody else.
Yes.
But you have selected to show them off in a gallery, which makes them stand out as works of art this time.
Hmm.
There is also a long tradition or history of artists kind of erasing their own design or their own labor. And
Hmm.
it's called the ready-made, presenting things that somebody else has designed or that exist in the environment, but they are represented in a new context.
Thank you. We have put how to follow them in the Q&A. There are links to both their websites and to Shishi's Instagram page, that so y'all can follow their work.
Yes, there's the Shishi's website. My website is anatakapon.com, and the Proxy Gallery website is proxygallery.com, and it has an email, proxygallery1@gmail.com. So we are overjoyed to to be in Houston and to show in the community college. I am assuming most people have seen the work online, right? not many people come to your office?
Well, we have quite a few people just coming by. So people have seen it in person. We also did up to the minute through the HCC TV. So we are on, we were live on TV, thanks to Shishi and Neda for joining me in that morning. And we will continue to cover this once we move into having the opportunity for either a student, alum, to be the next chosen artist for the 2026 gallery. So, I think, like I said earlier, and you said also, that this is a dialogue we want to continue to have. We want to continue to think about Shishi's work, and we want to continue to have this dialogue about art, or just in general about how we can share information in different formats, and inspire one another as we look at the art in the Proxy Gallery. So I'm so excited that you're both here today with us. I know you're coming from Los Angeles, and we're all here in Houston, and it's really exciting. And I'm assuming, Stanley, you're the professor that has the class that's viewing this right now. Is that correct?
It's just me and 2 students before a class is starting. We start at 1.
What?
So
2 students is 2 students, and we love that. So we're really thankful that you're able to join us. And it is that idea that you spread the word. You share the information, and as Annetta mentioned earlier, I will be providing information and instructions on how she will choose the artist for the next Proxy Gallery show in 2026. We're working out the details, but we're definitely thinking that it would be due in November, so it gives students time, alumni time to think about and to create their art. And then there'll be submission instructions that I'll provide on the online college website. As well as, since you're all here today, you'll also receive an email from me directly with those instructions as well, once we finalize the details. But I'm so excited, and feel free to share this among all your art students, to be able to be a one-person show and a real gallery. Shishi, you can speak to that. I mean, what are your thoughts, and what inspiration can you give our students to think about, what this might mean to them as it might have meant to you the first time?
Yeah, I mean, it was really this is a lovely opportunity to be able. I mean, this was my first solo, or my first show with Proxy was my first solo show out of school, and this is my second solo show out of school. So I mean, yeah, and that is just great to
You're
work
building
with
your
and stuff.
resume, right?
I am,
You're
exactly.
engaging.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, in terms of what to I mean, I would go through the Proxy website and see what other people have done. There's a lot you can do. I think I was thinking earlier, there was someone a while ago, didn't they build a Proxy gallery into a wall?
Yes.
Yeah. So I mean, there's
Yeah. And that was a good example of an exhibition that really took the Proxy Gallery as the subject of the work. So their work was to show off the gallery, and they cut a cubic hole in the wall and then left it empty. So it was like a positive and negative image of this empty space. Somebody else did a show that was about real estate, and it was called This Space Available, like they do for empty shops. And so I took that to mean available for thoughts, for discourse, for discussion. Yeah, there you are.
I love this one.
Yeah. Yeah, so this was a photographer. His name is Andonis Rikos, and he put a picture outside of the gallery and then the gallery on the picture, which is normally considered very disrespectful. But and then inside the box is that, you know, it's a very, very smart way to present something and then make commentary about the presentation, you know, saying I'm conscious. I know what I'm doing. This was in 2016, I believe. Here, if you see Elizabeth Bryant and Hillia Keating, they did the work outside of the proxy and then used the box almost like a shelf to put the leftover rope. Elizabeth Bryant sadly passed away 3 years ago. And so I'm overjoyed to have had her work. This particular work had ceramics and rope and also fresh vegetables. It had like eggplant and I forget if it was a cucumber or something.
That's amazing. And so you've been doing this, as we mentioned, for several years. Is there one in particular that stands out to you as something that's kind of unforgettable? I mean, all of the circus is unforgettable, but is there one that really stands out to you?
Not really, or I should say, everyone stands out to me. Every time I have a show, I say this is the best thing ever, and then the next one is also the best thing ever. I don't do a show unless the work turns me on and I'm enthusiastic about it. Yeah,
And
like,
for
okay,
the-
look at this one by Shiva Aliabadi. That was pretty great. She covered the gallery with a fur, and then she took it with her like a purse and went to openings by other people. And so when they asked her, "What is this?" she said, "It's my work. You know, it's my gallery and my work." So I love this idea of the portable gallery. And if you know art history, you may know the furry teacup by Merritt Oppenheim about 100 years ago. So she obviously was aware of that history. And so the gallery itself becomes the work of art. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
It's really unlimited to whatever the artist's imagination, creativity is.
Yes.
Stanley?
I have another question for Shishi. In terms of your hopes, dreams, and aspirations, what do you think about your future with your MFA and your art and your artwork?
I mean, I would really like to just be able to sustain my art practice for many years, and live a comfortable life, which is not, not always easy. Um, so that's relatively modest. I guess there are certain galleries though that I would love to show in. I'd love to show in the ICA here in LA. But that's really it. I like to get in the studio, make things, and then be able to show them to people. Oh, you know what's one actually that would take a lot that I really want to do is sand down all the walls in an institution so that they like are really smooth and take out all of the outlets so that when you walk in it just like is eerily like what is missing here kind of thing. I think that would take a lot of resources, but I would love to do that sometime. That's a dream.
I think Houston Community College might hire you to sand down.
We're always looking for
Yeah,
artists.
exactly.
We're always looking for instructors, of course. Absolutely. Well, and also I want to say, as you mentioned earlier, the artwork that is exhibited here in Houston is also for sale. Each piece is for sale. If you'd like to learn more about that, you can feel free to contact me and I'll put you in contact with Shishi and Anetta, excuse me. And I want to just, open the floor for any other questions, or also, do you want to say any parting words, Anetta and Shishi?
I hope this conversation continues. I really like discussion, and this discussion is a proof that you need a gallery to have discussion. It's like discussion out of context is, I mean, it does exist in art school as the critique. There is a class called critique. But otherwise, there is no discussion. So I think most of us artists, we just want to continue to be artists. And as Shishi said, it's not as easy because the whole world does not care. Uh, Even people who love us the most do not want us to be artists because, we neglect them, or we need to be alone, or whatever it is. So we have to support each other. Stanley, I have a feeling that I have met you before. Have I? Have you been in Los Angeles? Maybe it was somebody else named Kaminski. So anyway, I am totally available by email, by phone, by Zoom, by whatever. And I look forward to further collaboration. Maybe at some point I'll take an airplane and come over.
You're
That would
always
be
welcome.
great. Yes, and we will continue the discussion on how to get an HCC student as part of the Proxy Gallery for next year, and make sure that we continue to work with you and to work with our faculty here to get the notification out and figure all of that out so that we can have some wonderful student artists.
And that will be a first for me. I've never done a juried show. So I look forward to being the juror.
Great.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We always like to be the first, so why not do it now? So I just want to say thank you all for being here today. It's been a wonderful discussion. You all bring so much joy, I think, to one another from having this discussion, and we certainly want to continue having more throughout the year. So thank you again for joining us from LA. Thank you all for joining us here in Houston, and we look forward to talking more. So have a wonderful day, and hopefully you had a little piece of a mental break in your day today. So thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
We will
Take
meet
care.
again soon.
Thank
you
you
for having me.
all.
Thank you.
All right.